What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today we're going to talk about trade routes and businesses. Trade routes and businesses. And the reason why I'm doing this, because some people just don't know, right? This is not a common thing. They don't teach us this type of stuff. They don't teach us this type of stuff in school, right? But the other, the well-to-do, the ones that know, they get taught these things in these great schools behind the walls that they live behind, right? That's the advantage of having money, right? Let me show you how it works. And I'm gonna throw a little bit of racial understanding as well. So if you look here, trade routes, right? Trade routes are like the most important thing ever, right? Basically, from where we've, left, out of Africa, as we left and walked out, we established, towns, colonies, and whatnot, right? So that created trade routes, right? Because it's not like they just kept walking and forgot, where they just came from, right? This took thousands of years, right? So thousands of years, the path of human, trading with each other and humans walking and migrating have been digging in the ground, right? Because we've been walking the same path for thousands of years. Because we've been establishing trade routes and business locations around the world. That's what we do, right? And this is what a business is, right? A business is either going to do one or two things. They're either going to produce a product or provide a service, right? Or, it's three things. Or they're going to transport something from point A to point B. Transport the goods, right? So you got the ones that's the creators, right? The creators, they sit around, they tinker, they build, they invent, they do those things. They gather resources, right? They survey, they do things like that, right? They produce, they experiment. Then you got the traders. The traders. What do? They build roads, right? Making it easy for them to transport their goods, right? Because this is what they do. They move from point A to point B, right? Their whole business is getting from point A to point B. People and things, products, right? This is how you get from place to place. How you connect city to city. How do you connect businesses to businesses? Because how cities are normally formed is there's a resource. This is where the business comes in. Right? Cities don't just appear for no reason, right? When you have a place that has tons of resources, that means businesses that create, that build, that manufacture, that think, science, that they sit around and they think about complex problems. They do that, or the thinkers, the intellectuals, they stay in one location and they figure out how to exploit or explain the resources that they have, a place that has plentiful resources, right? Those people. But then you got the people who move things from point A to point B, right? You got the people who live on the road. There's always been people who live on the road, right? No matter what, because things have always happened to move from point A to point B. That's how a lot of people make their money, right? So, as we black folk traveled up here, right? Because this is Africa. All this is black. If you look at Yemen, if you look at the people of Yemen, they look like Ethiopians and Kenyans, all right? See, this is the stuff they don't show you on TV. The Yemenis, these people, if you go over here, you put them in any place in the black neighborhood in America, you probably won't even tell the difference. Or you'll think they may be like as Ethiopian or Sudanese, right? These people here, black. They don't like to call themselves black, but look, in the real world, they're black, right? But where they get that look, you know that look, right? That different look that kind of blends in with the rest. You know what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes Ethiopians are misconstrued as being Arabs, right? But they're not. They're African. Africans, this is Africa too. This part is Africa too. That's the thing about all of this was ours. All of this is black. All this used to be black. All of this. And the thing is, they don't teach you this. They don't want you to know this. All of this was black. All of this was black. This whole thing was black. The people there are black. They're dark skinned. They're mixed now. And the reason why they're mixed, okay, is because we also encountered who? Asians, right? So when the Asian people, they had their groups of people who built cities around resources, businesses. What they do is a business will find a place that has a major resource, and then another business will come along. Maybe they're exploiting another resource somewhere closer, right? The ones that have the most money, that's producing the most product, that's the richest, what they do is they come to an agreement to establish, like a state, right? They create a state, right? Because the thing is, the bigger your business is, the more workers you need for your state, because but you got to take care of your workers. So that means you got to bring the schools, you got to bring the housing, you got to bring the community plans, you got to chop up the districts, and you got to make housing plans, and you got to talk about sewage. It's all sorts of things you got to do, because all you're doing is accommodating the workers that work for your companies and businesses, your collective businesses and companies. As companies join these collective businesses, they have a covenant. They create a state and sometimes a country. When you have somebody like right here, for example, right? Okay, we'll use Nigeria, right? Nigeria has states. These states were broken up because there were companies, right, who collectively worked these areas and agreed as a group of companies, the employees that work for them, or slaves that work for them, or indentured servants that work for them, whoever, that this area of operation that we house, feed, and facilitate our workers is going to be protected via state, right? Or country. First, city, town, state. Everything is about resources, right? All the big people with the money, they're usually in the nicest portion of that place, right? The big cities, New York, Abuja, Lagos, you know what I'm saying? Accra, things like that. That's where the people with the money at. But everybody else that's not in the major cities where the businesses operate and has the headquarters, they are the workers for the companies that they own. That's what your job is, right? You work for them. They house you, and they collectively create the rules and regulations that you live by. Those are the laws that we live by, right? They create the laws. That's why they don't follow the laws, because to them it's ridiculous that they actually have to be punished for following laws that's not meant for them, but is meant for you, their workers, right? The country, this countryman. That's how it works. So, because right here is where Africans, Asians, and Europeans met, right? All states created the same way. However they did it, however format, whether it been communist, kingship, monarchies, republic, democracy, theocracy, whatever, authoritarian, nothing, whatever form they had, those were just businesses. All of them were just businesses who collected, who took care of their workers, and they created the states, and that's where all the rich people are, right? And everybody else on the outside are the peasants. They're the ones who do all the labor, right? And they're the ones who make up the military. They're the ones who do all the actual stuff, right? While they sit in their cities and make the money and pass along money and make deals and create laws to govern their workers, the people, right? So these people here, these Arabs, right? These people that we consider heirs, right? First of all, this is a very small place. Let me tell you this. For all the stuff that we talk about, these people, is not that many of them, right? Because look at the livability of the land. Green is where people live mostly. So we're talking about a very small population. Look at that. They don't live out here like this. The only people that live out here are the people who are part of the movers, right? Or they're very sparse. They're probably on the road. They facilitate trade from point A to point B, from resource center to resource center, right? So that's the only reason they're out there, right? But other than that, very sparse population, because there's not a lot of livable land, right? This, if you notice, where is this, guys? That's the livable land. Where does that happen to be? Oh, huh? Any more questions? Where is the livable land? Where is the livable land? Let's see. Oh, where's the livable land? Where is the place that's possible to live? Anything starting to make sense now? Where Where is the habitable place for businesses? Where are the resources? Look at the green. Where are the resources for businesses to operate and make money? Because that's what businesses do. They make money. And they compete for resources and the control of trade routes. Trade routes. Control of trade routes. Okay? And just to, push that a little further, control, where's it at? Oh, hold on, no. There it is. Control of trade routes. Water is a source of transportation. Also, around water is where most of what? Resources are. Green, right? So usually conflict happens around at trade routes and centers of high, goods, whatever, right? So that's where the fighting happened. You see, what happened here, they have us believing, because they want us to think that the Egyptians were some weird, mythical, funny-looking people. They look ridiculous trying to make them shadow them, make them look like some weird group of people. But check it out. This place used to be green. So when you think about Africa, when you think about Egypt, you never actually think about it because they have been printed in your head through TV and through magazines that they're white people who are from up here, right? But for somehow they were white people that were here, right? And these people were living in the desert. That there was a massive population here in the desert. No. This place was green, right? And what they're really not telling you is there's more in here because this was green. And guess what was here, guys? Trade routes. Now, if you look in deep, if I go deeper, you see that dark? Those are old lakes. That's a lake. Okay? This is the type of stuff they don't teach you. So all that lake, I want you to think about it. Those lakes would have been blue. It would have been green all over here. The reason why you can see them because they're not that old. All of this. You see this? Water. Look what Libya is. Look all of that. Look how wet Libya used to be. Right? Look at all of that. Look at all that water that used to be there. Right? And that's why here, let me show you. There used to be a massive, this whole thing right here, there used to be a massive lake around here. It was massive. Where is it? The Chad. It was the Chad Lake. Yeah. Massive. It was like an ocean in the water. An ocean. Like, okay. Let me see. Where's in a good example? Okay, something like this. You see this right here? You see that? Like the Black Sea? You see how important that is? It's an ocean. You see where? Oh, trade routes. Trade. Where all the fighting happening at? Where's all the fighting? Right? Trade. Boom. Look at that. Access to everywhere right there. That's what it's about, guys. Okay. But back over here. So there was a massive lake over here at one point, right? So you would have to believe that all these African people from all over here, all of us, we had our businesses and we was operating here. And this is before the gun. This is before the cannon. So it was all about man on man. It was about shield on shield, muscle for muscle. Who's the biggest, baddest? Period. See, back then, whoever the biggest, baddest, strongest was win. And that was us. So we didn't have issues back then when it came to stuff like that. But the Arabs, right? The nomads, because nomads are the ones who walk through here, right? The people who used to walk trading goods. That's how they make their money. And they raid and they pillage. Nomads. Africans and Arabs and Asians have a history of a nomadic culture going from all the way to where the good is right here, Chad, Niger, Sudan, probably further down, leaving out this area, going around Asia, right, into the Turkmenistans, all the way into Asia. You got the Silk Road and all that. Remember? Nomadic. Genghis Khan. A group of nomadic tribes that were forcefully gathered themselves into a state, right, of nomadic business tribes who were families who ran businesses selling the goods and transporting the goods and services from point A to point B, and they took over almost all of Europe through the tribal routes. They would have took the rest of Europe. Europe is a peninsula, guys. It's a peninsula. It's just water. It's where you park your ships, right? And because you park your ships, they have a lot of ports here. They're seafaring people. Where these people are seafaring, so they have a propensity to build ships and go places. Because, I mean, what else can you do around here, right? Right? That's what they had. That's their expertise. And everybody who's around the Mediterranean, they were shippers. So the people who live around these areas will be in the business of shipping goods from point A to point B. Europe starts here. The Arabs start here. Africans, we didn't have no issues because we have everything, right? So we didn't have to, you know, I mean, we went places. We did, but it wasn't that deep, you know, like other places. Because I mean, we had pretty much everything, right? And we got everything we wanted through the trade routes, right? Through the tribes, like the Fulanis and all them, right? Fulanis, you know, the thing is, we hype up the Vikings, right? Vikings were basically nomadic warriors, right? These guys were nomadic warriors. The Fulani are nomadic warriors. Same thing. They probably got some great stories, just like that. We can hype the Fulani up the same way we hype up the daggone Vikings. I'm sure we got 1,000 more stories, and even crazier and probably more magnificent. I'm telling you. But anyway, those are the businesses. So the thing is, how do the businesses continue to control their workers within their territories, right? How do they control them, right? Because we need them to cooperate to operate our businesses, so we need them. So we have to give them something to believe in, because you're not gonna be able to motivate people to go to war to save your conglomerate of businesses. So you have to give them something to fight for, right? You give you a religion, something so that they can use something to control you. That's why religion was used. Religion was the tool of control to control the masses, so that you can have a few authorities tell them to do. You can move people in mass. You can scare them into doing things for you under fright or under fear or under forgiveness or salvation or whatever, right? You got to give them something to do something. You can't have a bunch of cats running around. You can't have a bunch of people being inquisitive, being smart, thinking, because once they become intelligent, they don't fall for the tricks of control, right? That's why they controlled information. Most people were illiterate. People just started reading. So when people make fun of African Americans or something, or African people saying we can't, we didn't write things down and we didn't do that. To be honest, even though it's not true, we were writing and we were doing all that. These people here, they just started reading. These people were illiterate. Most of these people were illiterate. They didn't read. Their churches and their imams and all their other religions they had beforehand, those are the things that, the books, only the clergy, the religious people could read. Most of these people were illiterate. They never could read. Reading is new to them. Reading is not new to us. All right, so that's why I always found it funny when they say that. It never made any sense to me to them to try. I think they pretty much everything that they think about us, every negative thing that they ever said about us is really a reflection of what they believe and feel about themselves, to be honest. Because think about it, we know that they are infatuated with our culture. We know they love our culture. We know they stole it. You don't steal something you don't want. Why? Who steals things that's not worth anything? Who steals things that they don't believe has value? Are you gonna risk because think about it, you think it was easy for them to do what they did, even though they had the cannon and the gun? They couldn't do it before the cannon and the gun. But do you think it was easy for them to do it? No. They are definitely afraid of us, but they're brave. Them people are brave, right? They're definitely afraid of us, but they're brave. And they wanted what they wanted, right? So those guys went in there with their conglomerates of companies that they have formed into states and countries, right? Built their military out of the peasants, the workers who work the companies that they build together, and they operate together and make the rules for those citizens of theirs, or subjects of theirs, or slaves of theirs, or indentured servants of theirs, right? To go off and fight and kill, to take what it is they want, right? So you have to make them believe whatever it is that you want them to believe in order for them to do it, right? So you motivate them with religion, with patriotism, with, racism. You keep them divided with racism, with classism, colorism, because you can't have them getting together and forming a union. They couldn't control an educated mass of people who were united despite their political or socio-economic differences or cultural or racial differences. You couldn't control them because power is something that's really illusional. We all agree as citizens of the companies that we work for and operate for that we will be loyal to them, right? That's what we agree, right? We work for them. We are their property. Whether we are their property because we live on their estate, i.e. they tax us, right? Or are we slaves by directly? Either way, we are owned by them. It's illegal for us to go from one business place to another business place without registering, right? We have to register. If we wanted to leave and move about the world, we have to register. You have to inform, because we are their workers leaving their area of operation, and they want to know when we're going to come back. To go back to work and pay taxes off the money that they give us and then take back 3 or 4 times, right? That's really what's going on. So that's the whole thing of it. So what's going on is every war and that we see, and everybody's arguing about is Muslim and Islam and what religion is bad. It's not the religions that's bad, and it's not the religious people that's bad. There's no religion is bad, really. It's the people at the top that know it's all just fantastical bullshit, because they all know. And they control, and the ones that know, they're the ones in charge of all the religious institutions. They know it's bullshit, but they know that millions of people still believe, because it's been the mode of business for a very long time, right? So, and it's worked well, so they're holding on to it, right? You control many of people with God, with religion. It's very effective. It's a very effective tool to motivate people to do anything, right? You'll be an idiot not to give it up as a corporation, right? So, all I'm saying is, that's what it is, business and trade routes, okay? So everything that's going on is about business and trade routes. That's why forming unions is important. Democracy is important, because at least while these businesses are battling for resources and access to trade routes, at least their workers, the ones who are owned by them, because we are owned by them. We are all slaves now, because that's what capitalism allows. Capitalism is the formation of businesses being above the law, because they create the laws and they control and pay for the politicians who pretend to actually legislate the law, right? So they are actually the ones that's in charge, the businesses and corporations who live in the big cities around all the resources and around the access to trade routes and waypoints. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I hope you learned something here. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach them. I'm out.